All right, let's dive right into one of the biggest Boxing Day matches of the season. Liverpool facing off against Leicester City at Anfield. Now, you wouldn't normally expect a top-of-the-table clash with a relegation battle to be this close.
Yeah, at first glance, you'd think it'd be a one-sided affair. I mean, you have Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool, a team that's just built to attack.
Yeah.
They've got stars everywhere you look. Alisson between the posts, the ever-reliable Van Dijk in defense, and of course, you can't forget Mo Salah, the goal machine.
And on the other side of the pitch, you have Leicester City, led by Dean Smith. He's certainly had a tough job trying to keep them in the Premier League.
Right, but they do have some familiar names on their side.
Oh, definitely.
You've got Jamie Vardy, James Maddison, players who can cause problems for any defense when they're on form.
That's the beauty of the Premier League, right?
Sure.
The relegation battle adds a whole other layer of drama and unpredictability. It's a fight for survival, pure and simple.
It keeps things interesting, that's for sure.
Okay, so picture this. It's Boxing Day. Anfield's buzzing with that electric atmosphere. Liverpool are pushing for a win to stretch their lead at the top, and Leicester are desperate to claw their way out of the relegation zone. But right from the kickoff, something totally unexpected happened.
Well, in the 6th minute, Leicester City pulled off a move nobody saw coming.
Really? What happened?
They scored.
Wait, Leicester scored first. Against Liverpool? You've got to tell me more about this.
Okay, so it was a classic counterattack. Leicester won the ball in midfield and immediately launched forward. The ball found its way to Jordan Ayew right on the edge of the box.
Hi.
He turned quickly, created just a sliver of space, and then bam. He unleashed this powerful shot past Alisson. I have to say, even Alisson looked stunned.
Wow, talk about a shock start. The underdogs taking an early lead against one of the most dominant teams in the league. That must have really flipped the script, energy-wise.
Oh, absolutely. You could see it in the way Leicester approached the rest of that first half. They were so organized defensively.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their back four were tight, disciplined, no gaps whatsoever. The midfielders were constantly pressing, just giving Liverpool zero room to breathe. You know, it's not always the prettiest style of football.
Right.
But when it comes to shutting down a team like Liverpool, that kind of disciplined defense can be super effective.
It's incredible how they managed to completely disrupt Liverpool's usually unstoppable attack. But Liverpool had their chances in that first half, right?
That they did, and some really good ones too. Andy Robertson nearly scored when his shot clanged off the post. Then Mo Salah, who was constantly trying to make something happen, saw his effort smash against the crossbar. But gotta give credit to Leicester. They were resilient.
Yeah.
Just determined, defending, frustrating Liverpool at every turn. They knew they couldn't afford to give Liverpool space, especially anywhere near their goal.
So it sounds like Leicester came in with a very clear plan, and for a good chunk of that first half, it worked like a charm.
Like clockwork.
But Liverpool, with all their firepower, I mean, surely they had to find a way back into the game, right?
Well, as the minutes ticked by, you could feel the tension building at Anfield.
Oh, I bet.
Liverpool had the ball most of the time, but they just couldn't find a way through Leicester's stubborn defense.
I can only imagine Jurgen Klopp pacing the sideline, starting to get a little bit anxious. But then, right before the halftime whistle,
That's when we saw a flash of the Liverpool everyone knows.
all right, I'm on the edge of my seat. What happened?
It was the 45th minute, practically the last kick of the half. Cody Gakpo receives the ball just outside the box. He takes a touch, looks up, and curls this beautiful shot right into the back of the net.
What a way to equalize. That must have been a massive boost for Liverpool heading into halftime.
Oh, it was game-changing. The whole energy shifted. It felt like a huge weight lifted off their shoulders. Suddenly, it was Leicester who had something to worry about going into the break. And Liverpool didn't waste any time in the second half. I mean, they came out firing.
Oh, I bet.
Just 4 minutes after the restart, they took the lead.
All right, here comes that Liverpool comeback. Tell me, how did they finally break through Leicester's defense?
It was a beautiful team goal. Alexis McAllister, who was having a stellar game in midfield, he played this perfectly weighted pass right into the box, found Curtis Jones, who was completely unmarked. Jones took a touch to settle the ball, and then, cool as you like, slotted it past Leicester's keeper, Daniel Iverson.
So Liverpool finally have the lead. The momentum's definitely shifted in their favor. How did Leicester respond? Did they just fold under the pressure?
Well, gotta give them credit. Leicester didn't just roll over. They had this golden opportunity to equalize shortly after Liverpool went ahead.
Really?
Yeah, Patson Daka, he found himself with a clear shot on goal, but he rushed it and sent the ball sailing wide.
That's got to be heartbreaking. I mean, missing a chance like that when you're fighting tooth and nail to stay in the league.
It's tough, you know? Sometimes those defining moments, they can make all the difference. And for Liverpool, I think Daka's miss felt like a sign, like it was going to be their day.
Like fate was on their side.
Yeah, something like that.
So they weathered the storm, kept Leicester at bay. But did they just sit back and protect their lead, or did they keep pushing for more goals?
You know Jurgen Klopp, right?
Of course.
Liverpool, they're known for that relentless attacking style. They just never let up. And this game, it was no different. They kept the pressure on, kept creating chances. It felt like only a matter of time before they'd score again.
And sure enough, that moment arrived, courtesy of their star man, Mo Salah.
You know it. It was the 78th minute. The ball fell to Salah right inside the box. And with that trademark composure, you know, that clinical finish, he just slotted it past Iverson. 3-1. It was a classic Mo Salah goal. And the relief, the joy from the Liverpool fans, palpable.
I bet. That goal must have felt like the dagger for Leicester.
It pretty much sealed the deal.
A 2-goal deficit against a team like Liverpool, especially at Anfield. That's a mountain to climb.
Yeah, at that point, Liverpool were in complete control. They just expertly managed the game from there.
So the final whistle blows. 3-1. A hard-fought victory for Liverpool. But what does this result actually mean for both teams in the bigger picture of the Premier League season?
Well, for Liverpool, this win was huge. I mean, it extended their lead at the top to a pretty commanding 7 points.
Wow.
Puts them in a fantastic position to, you know, maybe win their first Premier League title in a few years.
Yes, 7 points clear, especially at this stage of the season. It's a significant gap. It puts the pressure on everyone else to keep up. But what about Leicester? This loss must have been a real setback for their hopes of avoiding relegation.
It's a tough blow, no doubt. They're now deep in the relegation zone, and with the January transfer window coming up, they're going to need to make some smart moves.
Yeah.
Strengthen that squad if they want any chance of getting out of that drop zone.
It's a precarious position. They've got their work cut out for them. But you know what? Sometimes a big loss like this, it can be a wake-up call.
Yeah.
A catalyst to turn things around.
That's true, but they need to find that fighting spirit, and fast. The Premier League, it waits for no one.
It's unforgiving.
Absolutely.
This match, it really highlighted the contrasting fortunes of these two teams. Liverpool, flying high at the top, and Leicester, scrapping for every point just to stay in the league. It just goes to show the constant drama, the intensity of the Premier League.
You hit the nail on the head. It's a league where every match matters, every point's precious. And on Boxing Day, we saw that in full force. Liverpool, with that relentless attack, they proved why they're the team to beat this season. And Leicester, even though they fought hard, they'll need to regroup, figure out how to escape that relegation battle.
Makes you think, right? You mentioned Liverpool's next match is against West Ham.
Yeah.
If they win that, they could be 10 points clear at the top. What would a lead like that do psychologically? Not just for Liverpool, but for the other teams trying to catch them.
Oh, a 10-point lead, that would be a huge statement. You know, it would put immense pressure on those other contenders. They might feel like they have to take more risks, which could actually end up helping Liverpool.
Almost like they'd be playing right into Liverpool's hands.
Exactly. The harder you chase, the more likely you are to slip up.
It's fascinating how one result can completely change the whole feel of a league.
For sure.
Speaking of changing things up, let's circle back to Leicester for a second. After a loss like this, what are their chances of staying up? Are we hitting the panic button yet?
I wouldn't say panic button just yet, but yeah, there's definitely reason to be concerned. They've shown flashes of brilliance, especially in that first half against Liverpool, but consistency is key, especially when it comes to scoring goals.
You brought up the January transfer window earlier.
Yeah.
Do you think that's their best shot at turning things around?
It's a chance, for sure. But it's not a magic solution, you know? They've got to figure out exactly where they're weak, find the right players to fit their system, and just as importantly, those new players have to mesh with the existing squad quickly.
There's a lot that has to fall into place.
A lot of moving parts.
So it sounds like Dean Smith has quite the challenge ahead of him.
He does, but he's a capable manager. He's proven he can get the best out of his teams. The big question is, how does he approach the rest of the season? Does he stick with that defensive style that worked so well in the first half against Liverpool? Or does he try to be more aggressive, take the fight to the other teams? It's a tough balancing act.
It really shows you how important those tactical decisions are, especially for a team fighting to avoid relegation. But looking back at this match, wow, it had everything, didn't it? An early upset, a dramatic comeback, those moments of pure skill, and of course, a result that had major implications for both teams.
It was a perfect example of why we love the Premier League. Unpredictable, exciting, full of those moments that have you on the edge of your seat.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's been an absolutely fascinating deep dive. Before we wrap things up, though, I have to ask, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think the biggest takeaway is that in football, just like in life, things can change in a heartbeat. One minute you're on top, the next you're struggling to stay afloat. But even when things are tough, there's always a chance to adapt, to learn from your mistakes and come back even stronger.
Well said. Well, that just about does it for our deep dive into this incredible Boxing Day showdown between Liverpool and Leicester City.
It's been great breaking it all down with you.
And thank you for joining us on this journey. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into the world of football. Until then, keep the passion for the beautiful game alive.